Okay.
Me? Take it away. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sparkle Agricultural Diversity and Food Security with Hugo Mogollon. We have a replacement speaker today, Juliet Glass from FRESHFARM. So we're very excited to be talking about food. And I know we all love the FRESHFARM downtown Silver Spring on Saturdays. So a lot of folks have turned up for that. Before we get started, I wanted to tell you about some other events we have coming up. Silver Spring Town Center is the partner on Sparkle with Silver Spring Village. And we present the monthly Sparkle on the second Wednesday of each month. Next month, we have my Burning Man Journey with Mark
Brailsford.
Brailsford, right. Okay, I just had eye surgery. I can't see so well here. And that will be on Wednesday, May 11th at 2. So please mark your calendars for that. During the month of April, we are celebrating Earth Month, and included is today's program with FRESHFARM, as well as a program we have tonight. It's a book talk, The Urban Garden, 101 Ways to Grow Food and Beauty in the City, with authors Kathy Jentz and Terry Spate. We have a record number of registrants, over 100 are registered for tonight's program. So it should be a good one. And then tomorrow, we have a featured artist every month. Tomorrow we have Murmurations in the studio with eco artist Suzanne Hostetler. Murmurations is when all the birds are flying together, in unison. So she does a lot of sculpture with birds and installations that you may have seen around town. And she's internationally regarded for her work, actually, too. We are bringing comedy back next Wednesday, April 20th. We have Spring Zing comedy show hosted by Chip Jones with Ashley Gutermuth headlining. And then also in celebration of Earth Day, on Earth Day, Friday, April 22nd at 7 p.m., we have Naturally or Nature Ally, a virtual community art exhibition in celebration of Earth Day, hosted by artist Marcy Wolf Hubbard. And you can either just be a spectator and attend, or if you're an artist and you've created something that celebrates nature and the earth, and you'd like to have your work presented, just send it to Marcy at marcyplusart@gmail.com, or you can email me, Lisa, at silverspringtowncenter.com. Monday, April 25th, we have our Spring Art Salon, and we're especially encouraging work that also celebrates our world and the earth and nature. And then Wednesday, April 27th, we have Spring Forward, Create a Vision Board to help you bloom this season and beyond, hosted by Madeline Caliendo with Silver Spring Time Bank. And that's Wednesday, April 27th at 7. And then on Thursday, the 28th at 7, we have a program featuring the professor who wrote the book, The Red Mirror, Putin's Leadership and Russia's Insecure Identity, revisited at a time of war. So this should be a very interesting discussion, our last program of April on the 28th, Thursday the 28th. And I'll put some links in the chat for you. All of our events are made possible with generous support from Montgomery County, United Therapeutics, the Arts and Humanities of Montgomery County, Montgomery College, and many others. And now I'll pass it on to my friend and yours, Doug Gaddis with Silver Spring Village. Take it away.
Thanks, Lisa. Welcome, everyone, this afternoon. We're very happy to present FRESHFARM. We're celebrating Earth Day or Earth Month, and sometimes it seems like the issue is just too big for us to get our arms around, and we sometimes wonder what we can do. And I think it's awfully easy to forget that simply by supporting local agriculture, you're contributing to biodiversity in the world, you're contributing to economic security. You are providing a wonderful way for people to be connected in the community through really tasty strawberries. It's, you feel like indulgent when you're eating your fresh strawberries, but you're really doing good in the world. So we should all take a moment to celebrate that. I see a lot of names and faces here that I don't recognize, so I'm going to spend just a brief moment telling you about Silver Spring Village. We are an organization that harnesses the power of local volunteerism to support older adults who wish to continue living in their homes and communities of choice. And also those who want to be engaged, fully engaged in their communities. So to do that, we provide each year more than 3,000 volunteer services to individuals right here in the Silver Spring area. And that can be everything from trips to the grocery store, to errands, to a quick drop-in visit in person or by telephone, household tasks, gardening, computer support, technology support of all kinds, really. And then we also have a very, very active social, educational, recreational, and cultural array of activities, more than 750 a year. Many of those are organized by members themselves as sort of affinity and interest groups. Others are guest speaker series and a lot of one-time activities that we do with area theaters and musical ensembles and things like that. So we are always interested in seeing new faces. We would love for you to consider coming in and joining us at the Village if you like. You're welcome to reach out to me at executive director at silverspringvillage.org for more information, or we are at the corner of Georgia and Cameron in the former SunTrust building. So you're welcome to stop by here anytime and pop up the third floor and ring our doorbell. Just a word about the format. We do have a speaker from FRESHFARM, and she will introduce herself, and we'll have her comments, and then after that we can go to a question and answer format. We're pretty informal, but we do ask you to mute yourself if that's possible. And I have all the power right here in my little mouse, so if you don't mute yourself, I'll do it for you. So with that,
Doug, could I interrupt you just a second with some wonderful good news? I just saw a flash on CNN. 2 sharp policemen on the streets in Manhattan just arrested the guy who killed all those people or who shot all those people on the subway. So he is now under arrest.
That is indeed good news.
Good news. Thank
Very
you.
good news.
Yes. So with Juliet, with that intro, we will hope the police don't come to arrest
tomorrow.
you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to get started sharing my screen just because that will often take me a while, but maybe it won't. My name is Juliet Glass, and I'm going to put this into the view. Let's see. Show. How does it look? A blank screen? It's loading. Do you see what I see? You see it?
Yes, we do. Yeah,
okay.
We see it.
Excellent. So my name is Juliet Glass. I have worked with FRESHFARM since 2010. So I have about 1.5 years working for other ag-based organizations. I'm very passionate about the work we do at FRESHFARM. And if you are a Silver Spring resident, you're probably familiar with us mostly via the downtown Silver Spring Farmers Market, which is a fantastic year-round market. But the markets are really just one part of what we do. In this presentation, I'm hoping to tell you a little bit more about the different work we do and the pretty dramatic. I think it's when people find out all the different things that FRESHFARM is up to, they get pretty excited. At least I do. So let's see. I can switch. Okay. So I just want to take a step back. This is actually our 25th anniversary. The logo there is the 15th year anniversary. I'm not sure why Hugo put it there because we have a very snazzy 25th anniversary, but the market was founded in 1997 as a program of American Farmland Trust by two great women, Anne Harvey Yonkers and Bernadine Prince. And they convinced American Farmland Trust that they should be paying attention to not just preserving farmland, but making sure that it was that farmers had a way to make a living. And that's how FreshFarm started. And then over the course of about 17 years, they grew FreshFarm from just one market in DuPont Circle to 15 markets, and then education and food access programs. And then the other part of the story is there was a parallel organization called Community Food Works that was started in 2010 that was really focused on grassroots solutions to connecting farmers with people and food access. And these two organizations, FreshFarm and Community Food Works, are very complementary, and they were merged in 2019 with the goal of increasing impact and growth in the region. And I just want to give you an overview of the problems that we're trying to address at FreshFarm. Especially if you just know of us from the farmers market. As a farmers market shopper, our scope of work is actually much larger. So at the heart of much of our work are farmers, and farming is a low margin, very risky business. Most of the farmers you see at the farmers market have some kind of outside job. They call it an off-farm job. Many farmers are making just pennies on the dollar if they're selling through traditional wholesale channels. So one of our goals is to improve the livelihood for farmers. We also have the issue that the number of farms and farmlands continues to decline. In the last 15 years, land and farm has declined by 278,000 acres. And you can see this firsthand if you go on a drive in our region. You'll just see all these developments, and the developments you see in Southern Maryland and Loudoun County, wherever you go outside of the DMV, that land used to be farms. And the majority of this decline is the result of mid-sized to small farm loss. So in addition, food production is declining across major crops and livestock. Notable production declines include strawberries, apples, sweet corn, wheat, chicken, pork, and dairy. And the upshot of that is that this region does not have sufficient production to meet the food needs. The solution is that food is coming from all over the country, sometimes all over the globe, to our supermarkets. And one of the things we saw during the pandemic is how vulnerable the traditional food system is, that if you had, something like a global health crisis, you could all of a sudden not find the things you're used to finding at the grocery store, because those long food chains are very, very vulnerable to shocks, be them health crisis, foodborne illness, climate change, you name it. Another issue is food security is on the rise. So a lot of the foods that you and I have access to at the farmers market and at the grocery store, there are people throughout the mid-Atlantic region who were already facing food insecurity, and it really went up dramatically during the pandemic. So our mission, we are a nonprofit based in Washington, D.C., and we're working to create a more resilient, equitable, and sustainable food future. And we do that by finding innovative ways to solve critical problems across the food systems. And we do that with hands-on education. We do it at farmers markets and with our food distribution programs. So we're really taking a holistic look at the food system, at our regional food system, and trying to find ways to make it more resilient and more sustainable and equitable, in the sense that it's a food system that works for everyone. And that's all the eaters, regardless of income, and growers. And I think one of the ways to kind of dig into our work is to look back at our 2021 accomplishments. We merged as an organization in 2019, and then were hit by the pandemic. So 2020 was a really critical year for us. Farmers markets emerged as vital food access points and essential businesses. And then 2021, we were able to kind of transition out of that crisis. And we're going to look at a few different program areas, and we'll start with farmers markets because they're the funnest. All of the things that we measure improved from 2020. So that means more shoppers, more markets were open, more farmers participated, and more money was spent. And this is all really good for the regional food system. We started the year with COVID-19 mandates, and we mostly ended them without lifting most of those mandates. So things feel a lot more normal at the farmers market. We opened 3 new locations. We reopened a market that closed during the pandemic, and we turned 3 of our markets into year-round markets, which is awesome for the community because, you know, a lot of you all are lucky in Silver Spring because the downtown Silver Spring market is open year-round, but many of our markets are seasonal. And then these were just a few other data points of like what it means for things to be normal for us. We co-hosted a very large festival with Mosaic District in the fall. We actually just did one. We just did a similar festival a couple weeks ago in again with Mosaic District for Art Bloom. And then we hit our Thanksgiving food drive goal of $10,000, which was fantastic. That's raised $10,000 raised from shoppers that we then spend directly with our farmers and donate that food to all of our food rescue and food access partners to prepare Thanksgiving meals and baskets for their clients. So these were all indicators that things are starting to feel a little bit more back to normal for us. And this is just a overview of the type of stuff that we measure and how we mark success. So you can see that there was a real increase in all of these key data points for us in the number of markets, number of vendors, revenue generated by those vendors. These bottom 2 numbers, benefits and match, I'll talk about that in a little bit more in a bit, but we accept all federal nutrition benefits, and we also offer a $1 unlimited incentive match so that people who are using their nutrition benefits can have more buying power essentially at market. And the other thing that does is it keeps some of that federal money out of the big box stores and diverts it into the pockets of farmers, which is great. And then you can see we also had an increase in the number of customers at market. A few of our successes. I don't know why this is in here, I'm sorry. We updated our market manager recruitment process. This is important. This next point is important. We updated our vendor application platform and process, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a second on why that's important. We receive a lot of applications every year. Last year, it was 439 people wanted to sell at our markets. And of those, we admitted about half of them, 206. And of those 206, 58 of them self-identified as being part of a historic, what the USDA calls historically marginalized groups. So we can take a closer look at that. One of the goals we wanted to do in 2021 was to get a sense of what the demographic makeup of our farmers was. So this was information that we collected at the application process, but it was voluntary. So someone applying did not have to fill out this part of this application. Most people did. And it gave us a really good sense of who is applying to market. And we were able to set a benchmark so that if we want to increase diversity and inclusion of our farmer and producer lineup at markets, we know where we started, because we really didn't, this was not information we were collecting, we just had anecdotal information. So our goals in 2022 for markets is we, of course, want to see sales up, attendance up, more vendors, more markets open. We are reopening 2 markets that were closed due to the pandemic, both by the White House and Foggy Bottom, which actually opened last week. We're trying to increase collaboration across our other programs. The food prints, which I'm going to tell you about in a little bit. It's our school garden education program, and the PopUp Food Hub, which is our wholesale distribution system. And we also want to increase opportunities for farmers and producers, and are making real efforts, and I believe strides in including more farmers who self-identify from marginalized communities in our network. So you know about our farmers markets. The next thing I want to talk about is the PopUp Food Hub, which is not something that we operate at Silver Spring, but if you've gone to some of our other markets, you may have seen it in action. The PopUp Food Hub harnesses the power of wholesale purchasing and distribution through farmers markets to connect underserved individuals and community-based organizations with local foods grown by regional farmers. What makes the PopUp Food Hub different than other types of food hub is that it's very, very low infrastructure. So what this means is we're placing wholesale orders with farmers who are coming to market anyway. And then we meet them at the farmers market, and we do all the sorting and packing, and then deliver that food. We have delivery trucks to different clients. So there's very, very little overhead. Like, we don't have a warehouse, we don't have storage, the trucks are refrigerated, and we're able to maximize profits for farmers, but then also enable the types of community organizations that are often priced out of traditional wholesale channels, access to this type of food. So just looking at this slide, you can see that despite we had a lot of emergency funding for this work in 2020, we had considerably less emergency funding, but we were able to partner, have more wholesale partners and serve more people, which is awesome. So we see the PopUp Food Hub as a really scalable and nimble model, and as an alternative way to get food to people, and a way to help 2 sets of stakeholders that tend to be underserved by traditional food distribution: small farmers, and then low-income communities basically benefit from this type of work. And this is a nice visual. You can see here on the left-hand side, these are the different farmers that we bought from last year throughout the region. And then on the right-hand side, these are all the little knives and forks. Those are all the different places where we distributed the food. And this slide here represents us getting 300,000 meals of food to 7,000 individuals and 600,000 revenue for farmers, which for small farmers, that's definitely not chump change. That's significant, significant source of revenue for people. And then this here is just an overview of the type of wholesale partners we're working with. We work with early childhood education centers, and we call that our farm to childcare shares. So we're providing food both for the meals that they prepare for toddlers, but then also shares of food for families to take home. And then we also are partnering with healthcare providers, and we're basically connecting the clients at these healthcare providers with very inexpensive, high quality bags of produce. And again, this is a win-win because it is also benefiting the farmers in our network, because it's a significant additional source of revenue for them. And then the next little facet of the PopUp Food Hub is that we are operating the pop-up food hub in some locations that where it's not, we call it a farm stand, so it's not quite a full-scale farmers market. And we do have the opportunity for people just to come up and do retail shopping. So you can see at these 4 different farm stands, there are 2 different types of revenue being generated for farmers. There's basically retail sales, and then the pop-up food hub sales. And you know, it all adds up. These numbers might seem small, but they do really add up for small to medium-sized farms. The last thing we did last year, and this was big, is that with the pop-up food hub, we know that transportation continues to be a huge barrier to accessing fresh food. And this was made much worse by the pandemic. People maybe didn't feel comfortable taking public transportation because of having someone in the home who was being compromised or having small children. So in 2021, we basically started delivering food to people directly to their homes. And we made over 2,000 direct deliveries, and we're continuing that. It was very successful in 2021. We're doing it this year as well. Some of our 2022 goals for the pop-up food hub is to increase these partnerships. These are really a great way to connect with our community, increase access to local food, and also increase revenue for farmers. And then we're also working on doing some cross-cutting programming so that some of the education work we're doing in DC public schools really does translate quite easily and nicely to the work we're doing to these early childhood education centers. So we're building out both materials, but then also staff capacity to help in that area. This is another area that we work in, which is food access. Have you been to the market and ever seen people go up to the info tent and say, get coupons that they then spend at market? Or have you been at a stand where you've seen people, like, instead of paying with a credit card, they're using like a little coupon? In that, they're probably using our, pardon? It is that's our Fresh Match program. I just skipped ahead a slide, but just to give you an overview, there are benefits. There are a bunch of different types of federal nutrition benefits out there. SNAP, food stamps. Women, infant, children has 2 types of benefits that can be spent at the farmers market. One is farmers market nutrition program benefits, and then senior farmers market nutrition program benefits. So we accept all of these benefits. As I mentioned before, we offer an unlimited dollar-for-dollar match. So if you go to the Silver Spring market, you can say, I have $20 in SNAP. I want to spend it at the market. The market information tent will then give you coupons, because that's just how it works. There has to be a script system, but then you also get an additional $20. So you end up with $40 to spend at market. And FRESHFARM, this is covered by both federal grants and many complicated funding partnerships, but a bunch of that is privately funded to pay for the match. And then in 2021, we got these 2 big grants. We're very excited about this because we see these as transformative opportunities for us. We got a $1.4 million 4-year USDA grant to create a regional incentive system across DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So the work that we do with our Fresh Match is other organizations are doing that in Virginia, other organizations are doing it in Maryland, and it's a little balkanized. And so what we're trying to do is streamline data collection, outreach, and many other aspects of it so that the whole thing works better for the end consumer. And then we also got a $1 million annual grant towards the administration of DC's Produce Plus incentive program, which is a very cool program that is pretty unique to DC, where people on, it's hard to describe, but if you're on any kind of public assistance, you get $40 a month for 3 months to spend on fruits and vegetables of your choosing at farmers markets. So we'll be running that program for the next 5 years. And this is a graph just to show you an increase in that incentive, that the fresh match or the matching money I've been talking about. You can see that, right at 2019, there's a big increase. So that kind of tracks with this understanding that there was increased, not only food insecurity, but also these increased SNAP allotments from the federal government meant that there was more SNAP benefits circulating, and we were very happy to see more of them spent at the farmers market with farmers. Similarly, with Fresh Match, you'll see exactly a very similar jump, that during COVID, there's a big increase in spending of SNAP benefits at farmers markets. And I think that is largely due to the incentive match, which gives you a reason to spend those very precious SNAP dollars at the farmers market because they go twice as far. The last thing I wanted to talk about is our education program called Food Prints. It is a joyful program. It's just kids eating delicious food and learning in the garden, and everyone who learns about Food Prints loves it and wants it in their school. And something I hear from adults all the time is how they would like to re-enroll in kindergarten so they can do a Food Prints class. Food Prints provides experiential food education that builds positive relationships with fresh food and helps sustain minds, bodies, and the world around us. We believe that this sustained food education has the power of improving long-term health, academic, and environmental outcomes. We also think this is how you create the next generation of stewards to the land and to creating a sustainable, resilient environment for us all to thrive in. And then Food Prints teachers, what makes our school garden program different than others is that our teachers are fully embedded in the public elementary schools. They're not just showing up one day a week, they're there every day. They're part of the staff and they become part of the school. Pre-pandemic, if you were to walk into a Food Prints classroom, you would see fresh produce being harvested from the garden and from the farmers markets piled up on the tables. You'd see students working together to create a meal that they would then enjoy. The pandemic changed all of that. And during the pandemic, we really had to transition to complete outdoor education. So what we did was have students gather in school gardens to harvest veggies, bring them home, plant seeds, make observational drawings, and dig in the soil. And now we're kind of in between where things are kind of back to normal, but cooking and eating together in the classroom is still not happening at our schools because of the continuing, these little spikes we're having in COVID. This is just a picture of what it would be like during the pre-pandemic. Like they would all cook together and then sit down and eat a meal. Very fun. This is an overview of Food Prints in the 2020-2021 school year. So this program was founded in 2005 by co-founder Bernie Prince. It is now in 19 DC PS public schools. And this year we're serving more than 7,000 students across the city. We have 37 full-time and part-time staff members, which includes teachers, gardens, and instructional coaches. And that is about 30% of the FRESHFARM staff, which is considerable. This is a real exciting thing that happened in 2021. We hear from people all the time, Food Prints sounds great, I want it in my school. Well, now people can have it in their school. The entire Food Prints curriculum is available for free online on our website. It is made up of 63 interdisciplinary lessons, 28 instructional videos, and 26 cooking videos for families. It is designed for school-age children, pre-K through 5th grade, but I can tell you that this could be used for anybody who, it could be used for someone homeschooling, for an adult education program. Just every time I download and read a food prints lesson, I learn something new. So it's an incredibly cool resource. We're really excited. We have a school in St. Paul, Minnesota is using it. A school in Annapolis is using it. We're kind of just launched it for the public last fall and are really excited to see it being used by other schools. Then our 2022 goals are to continue to provide healing experiences for students during the pandemic, secure sustained funding in the DC budget, and connect with larger funders who can match the financial commitments so we can plan for growth to all DC public schools. We want to become a leader in experiential food education, and I think that the curriculum is a first really strong step in that direction. And we're hoping to return to collaborating with DCPS on improving the school meal program. That's it. That's kind of FRESHFARM in a nutshell. I did want to say that our work is made possible through many different types of funders, including the K-FITS Foundation. And I know that and individual donations and all different kinds of ways that it is really a complex network of public and private funding that makes this work possible. So thank you for listening to me. I hope you learned something.
Yes, thank you very much. This is great.
Yes, thanks a lot. There were some really fascinating things there. A couple of questions have popped up in the chat, so I'm gonna review those, and then after that, people are welcome to unmute themselves. If you have a question, just wave frantically at me, or you can use the little raise hand widget that's built into Zoom. Lynn Olson asks if Fresh Food has worked at all with the Alice Waters Institute for Edible Education through the Food Prints program.
So we have, and we've done field trips there. And it's, Food Prints is different in that all of our lessons meet the core, all the STEM core standard curriculum so that it's just a little bit more comprehensive. So it's not kind of siloed off to the, which I'm not being critical of the Alice Waters Institute for Edible Education, but we have a slightly different approach. So for instance, when we do garden planning, the students are using the skills they're learning in math class to figure out how much a cubic yard is and then how much mulch they're going to need. So, and science curriculum is also integrated. So in the sense that we're different in the sense that we're really embedded in the schools in a much more complete way.
Okay, good. Another question about food prints from Elizabeth. Are students taught how to grow things at home, even if they're living in an apartment or another multi-family structure?
They definitely are. We definitely, there's planting in the garden, and then they're able to take home seeds and figure out, plant them and figure out ways that they can grow them in their apartment on a sunny windowsill, well, not in DC, but if we were in New York, it would be a fire escape. That's where I grew up. And I planted things on my fire escape when I was a kid.
Okay. Are there other questions? I'll kick off because I did have a question.
Okay.
I'm not as familiar as I should be with the senior FMNP. Is
Mm-hmm.
that correct? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so the senior farmers market FM nutrition program checks are complicated by the fact that it is money that is matched by the state. So state and the district, it's all administered a little differently. In the state of Maryland, it's a partnership with the Department of Agriculture. So there's a certain amount of money that the Maryland Department of Agriculture puts aside every year for these checks, and it's usually $20 or $30 a season that qualifying seniors can get to spend on fruits and vegetables of their choice from farmers at markets that have been approved by the Department of Agriculture to accept those checks. The way those checks are distributed varies county to county. So I actually would have to get you some information. Sometimes they actually just show up at the farmer's market and give them out in certain counties. And I actually don't know what they do in Montgomery County, but I can get that information for you and share it if you think that would be of interest.
Sure, that would be great.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that Montgomery County is a little more together than some of the other counties in Maryland, and that they're actually just going to mail you the checks and not make you like go and stand online and try and get them that way. But it is a set amount. It's usually $20 or $30 for the season. So it's not a huge amount, but it is matched by our incentive match, which means that, you know, that $20 or $30 can be $60 to spend on whatever you want at market.
And it's a needs tested program for the seniors, or does that vary by jurisdiction as well?
It is, it's low income. There's an income threshold for that benefit.
Okay.
Oh, I like that question. Seeds in space. That I'll have to get back to you on that one. It's a good one though.
I have a question. If I wanted to provide the information about the work you do in schools to people who are not in this area, do I just go to your website and find the right tab, or?
I'm gonna send it, I'll put a link in.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, because we have the curriculum. There's a whole page on our website, and the curriculum, you can kind of get an overview. We do ask you to register to download a lesson, but you know, we're not going to like sell your information. It's just to collect who is so that we know who's downloading it. But there is the link, and that's the overview. And then you can look at, you can sort by theme, by grade, and by lesson. And then if you click on one of those tiles, you would you'd see like, this is a lesson about soil health, or all of our lessons about soil health, and give you an overview. And then if you wanted to actually see the entire lesson, you just have to register, and then you have access to all of them.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I do have one more.
Okay.
So my question is, and this is partly my own experience with shopping in the Silver Spring market, the farm shares boxes. And I know they come in the full boxes and the half boxes, but even in my household of two people, the half boxes is a lot of stuff. Has there ever been thought for making even smaller boxes that might perhaps be more useful to older adults or people who live alone?
That's a good idea, actually. So I think the farm boxes that you're talking about are from Spiral Path Farm. They do a CSA pickup. We at FRESHFARM have something called the market share, which is a CSA style thing. So we're not a farm, we're using the PopUp Food Hub to aggregate from different farmers, and we have a small share and a medium share. And I got the small share once, and I was like overwhelmed with produce, and I'm a family of 4. And that actually is a very good idea, because with our market share, if you are using benefits, people can pay for their market share with their benefits. If they have SNAP, for instance, a $35 share is only $8. But if we're trying to reach even, broaden our reach, perhaps we need like an even smaller share for seniors. but that's a very good suggestion. And I'm going to bring that up to the PopUp Food Hub.
If you guys would like to do that, we would love to partner, because we have people who can't necessarily get to the farmer's market and then manage to carry around, 10 or 15 pounds of produce. So we could get volunteers to help with that. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, because that's definitely a goal, to reach more people always is a goal.
Sure.
Another question I had about the food hub was, that must have been quite a logistic undertaking, making deliveries. Like, how did you, did you had to compile a list of, okay, who needs food but can't come, and where do you live, and who's going to do the deliveries, and yada, yada.
Well, it is, that is an operations, what you might call an operations nightmare, and I don't do markets operations, but the PopUp Food Hub is really staffed by a group of people who are incredibly good. They're just operation gurus. So there are lots of spreadsheets. We have a fleet of vans, and we do deliveries, I think 3 days a week. So it's not like Instacart on demand, like I want my food, come and deliver it today. You get a delivery at certain time, there's certain days of the week that the deliveries happen. And it is restricted by, it is somewhat restrictive by the fact that we're just a nonprofit, and we can't replicate that level. It's not instant. And I saw in the chat, somebody put information about the senior farmers market nutrition checks, that Montgomery County distributes the farmers market coupons to low-income seniors by lottery system every year at senior centers. This distribution is widely announced before it happens. It's nice that it's by lottery and it's not like a first come, first serve, because that's much fairer than what some other counties do.
Juliet, I have a question, if I'm not interrupting anybody. Thank you so much for this session. Also, I feel like I'm pretty familiar with FreshFarm, but I always learn something new. And now I also want to go back to kindergarten to to do food prints, but maybe I'll just do it on my own in my apartment with the curriculum online.
I learn something every time I read a lesson.
Yeah. I was curious, you mentioned your partnerships with 4 healthcare organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I remember you saying you're looking to maybe expand on that healthcare work. And I was curious to hear a little about, I don't know if you have anything to share about how you all are thinking about that expansion, if you have any demographic, like, are you looking at age range or families, makeup or location, or how you all might be thinking about the patients you're trying to reach through that program?
So in terms of adding new healthcare facilities, that is definitely a Hugo and PopUp Food Hub question that I don't have the answer to, but I can tell you that one of the things we've been doing has been building out these educational pieces, because one of the things we learned is that just giving people a bag of produce sometimes isn't enough. Like, it might not be familiar to them. Farmers market produce can look very different than supermarket produce. They might not know how to cook it. So both figuring out what culturally appropriate foods are, and then what tools people need to be able to use them. So we have this year 2 new people who are community food educators, and one is working hopefully with the markets. It's still, these roles are still being hashed out a little bit, but the other one is really working with these PopUp Food Hub clients to figure out what are the needs of the community. What kind of foods are they wanting in their bag? What are the things that they're not able, like, and things like that. So one of the things that those community food educators are doing are meeting with smaller groups of people who are part of that community, and maybe going through they were basically taking tools from food prints, like, how do you roast vegetables, and meeting with 5 people online, going through the steps of how you would do that. And then they are able to then go within their community and show people how to do that, how to then replicate that lesson. So that is the one area I can talk about with assurance, but in terms of what additional healthcare facilities. I mean, I'm sure there's new partners on the horizon, but I just don't know what they are,
Oh,
but I'll
that's
make sure to find
exciting.
out for you.
Oh yeah, no rush, but yeah, that's really interesting to learn about. So thank you so much.
Yeah. It was a big lesson for us to figure out that we needed to, just showing up with bags of produce, that we needed to do a little bit more. Like we had to, in some of the early childhood education centers where they're providing meals to 3 meals a day to their toddler clients, they don't have a kitchen to prepare food. They have a microwave and a steam basket. So then we had to adjust like what we're putting in the bag and making sure that it was stuff that they would be able to prepare and serve to the students because of the limited facilities. So there was a lot, we learned a lot in 2021 and are implementing different types of programming to better meet the needs of our clients in 2022.
Great.
Okay.
Diana, I saw that you posted the information about the lottery system. If you would put me on your distribution list, I would be happy to get the word out to Montgomery County's villages. There are 28 villages around, and I'm sure that there could be some people who'd be very interested in this.
Absolutely. Okay.
Right. I'm also able to help promote information about the market, especially if it pertains to Silver Spring with our mailing list. It goes out to over 10,000.
Oh, really? How often do you email people?
Too often, as many.
Is it weekly? Is it?
It's sometimes twice a day. I'm
Oh,
trying
really?
to get away from that. Maybe 4 times a week.
Okay.
So if you, we do a monthly newsletter. We do the Silver Spring Blues Festival also. And
Mhm.
I wanted to reach out to the person in charge of the Silver Spring Market. Is that you?
It's not me. I don't do
Yeah.
operations anymore. I did, and it made me too tired. But I put in, Angela at freshfarm.org. You can reach out to her.
Oh, okay, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Great.
And if you want to, you can copy me for context, which is
And-
Juliet at freshfarm.org. Yeah.
Okay, great. Angela and
Um,
Julia. Okay.
And I would love to hear more about what kind of messaging I can share with your 10,000 people about the farmers market. Like if they want to know if we have cooking demo, like what kind of news you would want to share.
Yeah, and we do arts and humanities kind of related topics and community building. So anything could be included in our newsletter really, and we're happy to help promote. And also on our social media, Facebook page, for example, that's about over 3,000.
That's pretty. And likewise, if you tag us in posts, we'll share them.
Okay.
So I see this question. Do you help the program that provides free food to young students to get grants for better equipment in their facilities? That is work that needs to be done for some of those places, but our capacity is not, we're kind of it's a little outside of our wheelhouse to do that kind of work. But I think that that's a really good idea. I'm going to copy. Actually, are you going to save I know this was recorded. Will you save the chat, and will someone be able to save the chat and email it to me?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. Because I'm trying to jot things down, but that would be easier for sure. That's a good tip.
I will need to get your email though. I only have Hugo's.
Oh, okay. I'm going to put it right in. Anyone can email me with questions. Anyone can email me with questions.
Any other questions, comments?
Just a quick question. I live in Foggy Bottom. Can you tell
The
me
market's back.
What's that?
It's back. It's actually on Wednesdays from 3 to 7, and it's on the I Street walkway adjacent to the GW hospital right by the Metro exit.
Oh, okay, near Whole Foods.
Yep. You can see Whole Foods we were there before Whole Foods, but it's okay.
So Wednesdays, like it's happening now. Wednesdays at
Yeah,
3.
it just opened 2 minutes ago.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll try to swing by.
It's a very, very nice market.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's that pedestrian walkway, so it has like a cozy European feel that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to shop there when I worked down at the State Department.
Oh, nice. Did you work in the State Department?
Main
for
State.
Yeah, well, I wasn't in Maine State, but even one of the annexes,
Okay.
just
My
across the
uncle
street.
was in the State Department for a long time, but he's long retired.
Were you foreign service, Patricia?
No, I was a contractor doing archives and records management.
Oh, great. Interesting. You should do a talk for us sometime.
I might have to shoot you.
You
We
might
should
have
have you-
to.
We should have her, Patricia, you should come to our office and organize our papers and
I
records.
know. Okay.
You didn't know you'd be so popular in this, did you?
Seriously.
Right. Well, folks, it sounds like we're pretty much at a wrap up. Lisa is chomping at the bit to go to the farmer's market and get off Zoom. So I am going to go ahead and end the recording real quick. And then certainly if people have anything else they want to chit chat about, you're welcome to, but let me just do this real quick.